So you want to learn how to bench press. Hey guys, it's Patti again from the All Max Creator team. The bench press is a really fun exercise that not only grows your chest, but helps you execute full body strength and coordination. And it's an exercise that I find a lot of women avoid. I'll be honest with you guys, before I started powerlifting, I had avoided training chest for the 2 or 3 years prior. But the minute I started training bench, I got obsessed. It's such a fun exercise. You can often get a lot stronger on it than you realize. You just need to know the right positioning. And before I get started today, I'm gonna take my pre-workout supplements. That's my pre-workout, which is the Impact Igniter and Pineapple Mango, and my creatine. It can get easy to forget your creatine, so I always pair them together so I don't forget. First, let's start with the setup. This can be sometimes to your detriment if you don't have a good setup. Now, I know that a lot of gyms have these preset racks. The J-hooks are preset, meaning you can't move them up or down. And a lot of the times this is gonna restrict your ability to set your bar at a height that works for you. One thing that you don't wanna do is have to bring your shoulders forward in order to unrack the bar. So if the bar is placed too high above your body, you're gonna find yourself in that position. What you also don't wanna do is have the bar too low where you're exerting too much strength getting it out of the rack. That way you save your strength for doing your actual exercise. So this is why I always recommend setting up in a squat rack rather than these preset benches. Roll your bench onto the rack, and I usually like to put the wheels at the front. And then in order to keep the bench in place and keep it from moving, I'll place a plate or even 2 down on the back wheels or even just against the back panel to keep it from sliding when you push your body against it. And lastly, for the bar placement, play around with a few different heights till you find what works for you. Now that you've got your equipment set up, let's talk about how we set our body up for the bench. Typically, there's 3 points of contact that you want to focus on. First is your shoulders, next is your bum, and lastly is your foot placement. So when you lay back on the bench, you really want to get situated with those 3 points. As you're looking up, you should see the bar either at eye level or slightly below eye level. And I like to grab onto the sides of the squat rack to elevate my shoulders up, push my stomach out, and press my butt down with a little bit of an arch. And that leads us to our next point, which is your wrist positioning. There are many variations of bench press. You can do a wide grip, you can do a narrow grip. These will target different muscle groups, but typically you want to place your wrists where the rings are on the bar. Placing your middle finger across that ring is usually a good starting point. But if you're really trying to hit those triceps, you can do a narrow grip bench press. Now, I see this as more of an accessory movement, as in a movement that helps with your bench, but isn't your primary bench positioning. Now, the difference really is going to be in your elbow positioning. So the more your elbows are tucked in and you have more of a 90-degree angle at the bottom when your elbows come down, the more tricep that's going to use. Whereas if your elbows are pushed out and stacked parallel to your wrist and your shoulder joint, that's going to use more chest. Okay, let's chat bum positioning and arch because this can be a controversial topic. So the reason people don't like having a big arch is because this can mimic more of a decline bench position, which works your lower chest muscles. And usually this isn't what people want for aesthetic purposes. However, for strength purposes, it can make a really advantageous position. So do with that what you will, just make sure that your bum is placed firmly on the bench. Foot placement varies a lot. Some people like having their feet far, others like having them really close with a bend in the knee. You want them to be in good contact with the ground so that you can drive through your heels and push using your quads to assist in the bench press. This is what we call leg drive. If you take a look at my foot positioning here, I like to have my feet pretty close to my body. I almost contort myself into this C shape, while some people like having their feet really far out. For me, I find that my foot slides a lot, and in these commercial gyms where the platform could be wood or some sort of foam material, you might not have that traction and support at your foot to do a super extended position. But if you have super long legs, you might not also have the space to create this C shape and might have to have your legs more extended. Again, I would just play around with this till you find what works for you. In powerlifting specifically, leg drive is a really helpful tool to get you super strong. No, it doesn't mean that you're doing the exercise incorrectly because the bench press is a full body exercise. So if you want to train exclusively the chest, there are variations like the Larson press where your feet are actually off the ground that you can use to target solely your chest. But when you're doing a true bench press, you do need to engage your quads and your legs in the movement as well. Like all exercises, I recommend getting into a really consistent technique. Try to make every rep from your warm-ups to your working sets look the same, regardless of how heavy the weight is. And over time, you'll find cues that help your body get into that positioning. If you're interested in starting powerlifting, a great place to start would be the 2 other videos I've done on the All Max channel, which is the squat tutorial and the deadlift tutorial. This is the last video of the powerlifting tutorial series, but I do have some stuff coming up for you soon. I will be competing at the Canadian Central Championships this August. Over the next few months, I'm gonna be taking you guys through that journey and what it looks like, how my training regimen looks, different practices I'm doing to ensure my body's prepped for the day, and nutrition. I'll be filming a monthly update on the All Max channel to show you guys what that journey looks like and hopefully inspire you to try powerlifting as well. Cheers, I'll see you guys then.